episode 162. Welcome into the Benches Clear podcast, where we cover the best rivalry in all of sports. I am Jesse Gutierrez, and I represent the side of the San Francisco Giants.
That's it? That's all you got? And I'm Dave representing the side of the Dodgers, who, I don't know, I think they did a couple things or did something big. I don't know. Got the MLB world on fire for some reason, so I guess we'll talk about that.
Well, I mean, we talked about how we weren't going to podcast this week. We were going to have our times with our families. We weren't going to podcast. We were going to take the week off. But then it happened, guys. The Giants signed Max Stassi to a minor league deal. So we figured we got to talk about it. The
moment I saw that news drop that they got Stassi, I was like, shit. Guys,
it's over.
I can't hang out with you guys anymore. I got to go do my research.
Right.
I got to go see how this impacts the playoff odds.
Right.
This is huge. And we were talking on the phone for like hours because it was so big.
Yeah, we don't even know the numbers yet. It hasn't even came out yet. That's how big of a monumental move this has been.
And you said they weren't going to be in on big free agents. This guy.
I can't show my hand all the time, baby. I got to keep you on your toes. Buster Posey, just knowing a good catcher when he sees one. I mean, in all honesty, it is a good move. You can't. They were so desperate for a backup catcher that they had to pull Kirk Casale from, I think it was the Cubs minor league system last year, because Patrick Bailey's their guy, but he's also really young and is not used to doing a full 162 season yet. And so to have a lot of, backup catching depth, especially because they don't believe in Blake Snell, is really important. But Dodgers are going to Dodger. It is what it is. Dave,
what could you possibly be talking
about?
What are you talking about? What did they do? What is it that...
We're talking about how the Dodgers ruin baseball, okay?
For the 30th time this year.
For the 30th time.
The year's not even over, and they're like, we're going to do it a couple more times, ruin baseball a couple more times for the year's completely over.
I think we should just petition that the Dodgers just have to give up all their players because they ruined the game of baseball so hard that they just dissolve as a franchise.
Negative. That's not going to happen.
Well, yeah. Just tell everyone what happened, Dave. They're on pins and needles. They don't even know because everyone gets their news from us, obviously. They probably don't even know what you're talking about.
So it's funny because I missed it. To be honest, I missed it. So I was FaceTiming with my sister, and I forgot what we were talking about, but I saw something come up on a notification saying breaking news. Blake left-hander Blake signs whatever. I didn't even see the whole tweet. I'm like, oh my God. But I had to still wait like another 20 minutes because I couldn't just get off the phone. But I was like, did that say what I think it said? And so finally, when I got off the call, sure enough, Dodgers signed Blake Snell to a 5-year deal. And I was like, crazy. Here we go. And I guess leading up to it, he had tweeted out a picture of himself in a Dodgers uniform.
Yeah, he broke the news apparently.
But people thought he was trolling. They're like, oh, he's just trolling. They didn't know if it was real or not. And then the real tweet came out, and the MLB world caught on fire.
Yes. Please tell the world how you plan on making up for you ruining baseball, Dave. Like all these deferrals and all this crap that you guys just contrive, and you guys break all the rules and you get away with. Oh, I'm just going to be a degenerate gambler and my friend's just going to take the fall for me. Oh, I'm just going to pay you till 2050. How does that work? How do you get away with it? How do you sleep at night is the question I need to ask you.
This is something you need to speak with your therapist. We call it coping. It's
okay.
Called coping. Yeah. So I'm going to hook you up with somebody, and you get to talk your feelings out, and you ask them, how is this fair? Why is this fair?
And why me?
And when they tell you it's all legal, it's all under the rules that everybody can try to do this, then you'll feel really silly.
Right. Yeah, I just, if it was your team, you'd be happy. In all honesty, it doesn't bug me that they did that. The deferrals. Obviously, it bugs me that they signed Blake Snell. I wanted Blake Snell to stay on the Giants. Um, but I just I just don't understand how someone can see that and be like, oh, the Dodgers are cheating. Oh, this is unfair. Maybe just invest into your baseball team. And I get it. Not all the teams can spend Dodger money, but a lot of teams can spend more money. So you got to look inward.
The thing that I find a little bit funny, and I know I should feel for the teams that don't have owners that are willing to spend and all that. But
Thank
when
you.
they're like,
That's the end of the episode. He
we
feels
can't,
bad, guys. We did it.
when they say we can't compete with the Dodgers, well, you don't have to per se. Like, just get into the playoffs. You see the Kansas City Royals; they spend a little money. They may not have the same amount of money as the Dodgers and other big teams, but they showed you that if you spend a little money on your team and you care enough, if they reward you, they got into the playoffs. That's then anything can happen in there. The Dodgers have lost to crappy teams, they've lost to good teams, and they've won it all. So anything can happen. And I just think when fans of teams that owners won't spend money, my question is always like, well, when's the last time your team was a finalist for any top free agent? And if you can show me that they lost out to the Dodgers repeatedly.
No. I'm saying every year.
Like,
I'm pointing to me. I can hear you perfectly. Sorry. I don't mean to confuse. You're talking to the every year runner up over here. Okay, Giants are always number 2. So.
But you're willing to do it, and so when you voice your concern, it's like, yeah, look, we've tried, we just haven't landed them. I get that, but when Pirate fans are like, yeah, but it's unfair, like you guys are already preparing for Skeens to leave. You guys gave up Cole. You guys give up McCutchen. Like, you guys are never finalists for good players. Why are
if you're a Rays fan
complaining about the wrong thing?
Just sit down. I feel like you should sit this one out. Maybe you could complain if you're like a market that spends but doesn't spend, like the Giants market. You can technically, maybe make that argument because they took away Ohtani. They outbid for Yamamoto, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, they outbid Blake Snell. Not sure exactly how far they were in on Blake Snell. Kind of was like up in the air. You couldn't really tell if they were in or they were out. You never know. But at the end of the day, you can't make someone sign with your team. I will talk shit about the players because, like, you just all want to build a super team. You don't like, want to compete. Like, this is getting a little ridiculous, but I'm putting this on the players. I get it. But at the same time, why not try to take down the Death Star instead of just, joining it?
And just because you can spend money doesn't equate like you're going to win. And it also doesn't mean that you got the right person, because you can spend money and spend it on the wrong people. Look at the Padres. They got desperate when Judge said no, when Trey Turner said no, and then went and got Sander Bogarts because he was the biggest free agent left on the board. And it didn't look great. Like, it doesn't. They already don't. There's times where they just don't want him there. Like, they're tired of him already.
Colorado Rockies and spend a bunch of money on Chris Bryant. And the funny thing is, if Chris Bryant actually played, nowadays I feel like that contract would actually look pretty good, because I think he's only playing to, like, they're paying him till he's like 36, and all these like Xander Bogaerts contracts and the Trey Turner contracts, they're till like they're 41. So but that's a whole other story.
I mean, I guess you could
play 100 games this year, huh?
I mean, you could say that the Trevor Bauer was probably one of the biggest blunders because of what happened, and so you lost money there. Yeah. And okay, because you're the Dodgers, you can absorb that. Good, but like a lot of their moves have worked out. It's not like we're just spending money just to spend it. And if it was like that, then I could see why it's a problem. But they're building a good team. They're just not spending it just to spend it.
Right. And the thing is these contracts will end up sucking at the end. It's just we are so early on it right now. It just seems pretty like, yeah, you're paying Mookie till he's like 38. You're paying like Freddie till he's like 38. You're paying Ohtani till he's 40. You're paying Blake Snell now till he's what, 37?
Yeah. No,
37. So
36.
maybe in 5 years, that's when we won't have to worry about the Dodgers just automatically getting a playoff berth. But we still got a while to go.
What's funny is that someone mentioned that Glass now and Snell's contracts would be up by the time that Roki Sasaki would need an extension. So, I'm just saying.
Well, that does. I mean, we could talk about Blake Snell all day. There is some things I think we should talk about Blake Snell, but since you kind of brought up this area of it, I think we should maybe discuss this a little bit because we did get into the salary cap. Well, where do you want to go with this? We'll let's just talk about the salary cap first, and then we'll get on to what you're getting to. But do you think that should there be any MLB action? Like, do you think that like eventually there should be a cap if there's a floor? I know there's a lot of players that say that they're interested. They'd be fine with a cap if there was a floor, meaning you have to spend at least $100 million. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe I'll be the only one. But I don't think they're going to change much. Maybe they'll change how much you can defer or something like that. But if there's a floor, then it's going to make the cheap owners have to spend. Right. I don't think they're going to want that. And then if there's a cap, I don't think they're going to want that either. And as far as deferrals, it helps the owners. It helps the owners save money.
Yeah.
In the now. So I don't know what the solution is, but there's going to be one side doesn't want this and the other side does. And like, it's going to be a rough negotiation when we get to that point in 2026. But
which is weird because it's like, if they didn't defer it, then they're going to want just a higher annual value, and then these lower market teams are going to be out of the play anyway. So I don't get it. Why you're upset about deferrals? It doesn't. I've heard a lot of arguments about why deferrals are bad and how it fucks the maybe not the lowest guy, but maybe like the middle low guys. But I don't know, dude. Any team could have done this Blake Snell deal. Yeah, not any team could have done Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and Blake Snell, but any other team could have absorbed Blake Snell's contract and figured out a way. So it's ultimately up to the player where he wants to play. So, don't make guys go where they don't want to go. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I think there's just a lot of PTSD from the Ohtani deal. If Ohtani hadn't happened and this was what they did with Snell, I think they wouldn't care because every franchise does this. But his was so out there, so big that he gave up almost all his contract that it's like, well, damn, dude. Everything else now, it's like, oh, they keep doing it. But no, like everybody does it.
Listen, I know a lot of Dodger fans like to say Ohtani gets paid $2 million a year. And an actual money to himself from the Dodgers a year, yes, it's $2 million. But deferral doesn't mean it doesn't count against the luxury tax. Against the luxury tax, I think it's like close to $35 million a year. So it's not like it's like the $2 million is what's counted against the luxury tax. They did all this deferral money with Blake Snell, but his annual value, I think, is at 36, and all this maneuvering, and it brings it down to 32. So it's not like it's drastically going from like, 70 to 2. It's going from 70, which is kind of outrageous. But at the same time, if you're Ohtani and you're bringing up that much advertising, you deserve a piece of the pie. So yeah, to make it meet in the middle, 35 is a lot on a payroll. So especially when you have, I think Mookie is close to the same thing, around 30, 35 on the payroll. Freddie Freeman, I think, is in the high 20s, if I'm not mistaken, against the payroll. So it's a lot. So you can't get mad at teams for spending if they're going to spend. It's not like they're overbidding. This is what the market value is on this team. I think a lot of teams, if Blake Snell was like, hey, 5 years, 180, I think a lot of teams would have said yes. But at the same time, unfortunately, the Dodgers are in the playoffs every year. So a lot of players just want to take that easy. There's always going to be a ticket there. Not a lot's going to be riding on me to get to the playoffs. We're going to be there every single year. So is that bad does that look bad on the player? I guess maybe. Can you understand why a player would do it? I can understand it, but
For us as fans, the whole thing of it is entertainment, right?
yeah.
Like it's entertainment for us, and as much as we're diehard and all that, that's all it is. And for these players, the main goal is winning. Like it's not to entertain us, it's not to, have a great season. It's
I
it's
think they
to,
want to entertain, and I think they want to have great seasons because it's
but it's
also
not
not
the
just
main
winning World
goal.
Series,
I,
but
I
it's
don't
like
think they go into that with the main goal. I think their main goal is I want to win at the highest level. I want to win a chip. That's the whole thing that you play for, right? I mean, everybody you ask, all they say is we want to win a ring. We want to win a ring. I
I
don't,
think that's also the PC thing. Like, I feel like there's a lot of players that are like, yeah, but I want to be like the best player. I want to make sure my stats are good. I want to make sure my numbers are good as far as what I'm getting paid. There's a lot of things that come out of like, I want to be the highest paid shortstop. I want to be the highest paid pitcher. I want the highest annual value pitcher. I want the longest. So I think money is definitely important.
there
Um,
there are there are definitely a handful of players that are like, yeah, money. But I
yeah,
think a lot of the players that are going to the Dodgers are focusing on the first part. I want to win. Like I
right.
have a chance to win here. I'm getting paid. It's a culmination of everything. I'm getting
Yeah.
paid. I get a chance to win every year, and I got a great staff, great players around me. Like why not?
Yeah.
Who else
No,
can offer me that right now?
I get it, and I'm not blaming the players for doing it, but at the same time, it is an entertainment business. And what's more entertaining than a David and Goliath situation? The Dodgers are creating the biggest Goliath, even though they're not a dynasty. Like, you know, we had a couple like about 10 years ago. Um, how entertaining and how much are you going to root for a team that's going to bring down, stop a dynasty from happening or bringing down Goliath? That's all part of it too. And, it's just going to be that much sweeter when Willie Adames knocks out the Dodgers with a walk-off home run at Oracle Park in the NLDS.
Maybe, but I mean, I think you're 100% right. I think
Is
everybody
100%
says
right? I'm 100% right. Willie
about
Adames is going to
no about the
okay. No, no,
entertainment business and all
clip
that.
that. We're going to clip that. That's what's going to go everywhere. 100% right.
I think it's good for the sport. Everybody who says it's not good for the sport, it is. Every story needs a villain,
Yeah.
and for a while it was the Yankees, then it was the Astros, now it's the Dodgers, right? Like,
That's just for another reason, but yeah.
and it always happens this way. You start off as a scrappy team or a team who just can't get it, who can't get there, and people root for you, right? Maybe not the Dodgers and not them, but I'm just taking
Yeah.
other examples like
Right.
the Patriots, right? Like everybody was like, oh, they're getting there, they're good. Now they're a dynasty. Now we hate them.
Right.
So it goes
100%.
through this circle of like, oh, look, they're gonna get it done. Damn it, didn't get it done. Now they finally did. Now they're doing it again. Oh crap! Now this is boring. Now we hate them. So this is the Dodgers. They're hated. They've always been hated by their rivals around, in the NL West, but now everybody does because they're spending so much money. So it's good for the sport. They need a villain, and if that's the role they have to play, then so be it. I mean, if it means winning championships while everybody hates you, who cares? As long as your fans love you, it doesn't matter what the other fans think.
Right.
So
I get it. I understand it, but I hate it. And I can understand both sides of it, right? Where it's like, well, you gotta hate them, and if you're a Dodger fan, you gotta love it. Like so, but I think that's what creates entertainment. That's what's good about the sport. And not only that, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like after watching the Dodgers win the World Series, which is kind of funny, to me, they looked more touchable than they've ever looked because it seemed like, I don't know, it just seemed like after the Padres, all the teams they faced in the playoffs were just weren't that team, if that makes sense. Like there wasn't like, oh shit, here comes, but here comes the Braves and they're, it felt like every series, it was almost like a cakewalk in a way. To where like, because the Dodgers pitching staff was pretty shot, and it seemed like they were touchable, but the opponents that they were facing were, and this is no fault of the Dodgers. They were put in the opposite positions plenty of times. But what I'm saying is like they faced a luck team of the Mets who had 4 days off, and so their hotness was gone. And then they're going to face the Yankees, who can't play defense for shit for the World Series. I don't know. It just seemed like a Dodger team that had that to get to the World Series, and the fact they had no pitching staff and they still won. I feel like that kind of doesn't make sense, but in my head it makes sense that means that they're a little touchable.
Well, I see what you're saying, but that's not the same team that's coming back. You're not getting a Walker Buehler starting a game 3 anymore. You're getting a Glass now or maybe a Snell. No. I understand that he was amazing. I'm just saying, like, you had him. You didn't know what you were going to expect out of him. You didn't know what you were getting before it started, and then you had a bullpen game.
Right.
And now, if you got these guys, you don't have to use the bullpen like that. You can use them as a regular bullpen. So, I think the team that's coming back might be looking a little bit different. But I think you're right because the Padres, in essence, were the World Series because they were the most complete team. I kept saying that they were a good team. They were so good to end the season. They were the number one team, I think, at the end of the season. The way they were playing, the players that they had, and they couldn't get it done. And after that, I think just a huge weight was lifted off the shoulders of the Dodgers, which is like, finally, we're out of the first round. So now we can relax. Let's just go do what we do. And the competition, like you said, wasn't as great as the Padres. So maybe they can do a reseeding in the future because we're getting some really good series to begin the playoffs. And then it's just like, okay, the good teams should win.
That's how I felt in 2021 as well. Like you had, a 107-win team playing a 106-win team, and that was supposed to be number one seed versus the wild card team, which is insane. And I think that's also part of it, and it kind of shows you. I think in that series, that was the Giants really hurt the Dodgers, and then they faced a team like the Braves, who were and they ended up winning the World Series that year, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but they were a stacked team. So, and then if they had a stacked Braves team after that Padres series, I don't know if the Dodgers make it. But you face a Mets team that was kind of like the Cinderella team of the hot team, but they also had 4 days off, so that hotness kind of wore off of them. To where, a reseeding makes 100% sense. Where it's like you want these teams to play later. Like, why have the full out brawls? The best teams in baseball playing in the first round, and then you get the Mets moving on to the next round. It makes no sense.
I mean, all that juicy drama that you got from the Padres and Dodgers, all of it, like, it was crazy. It was everything they could have wanted, but you only got 5 games out of it. Like the storylines from Roberts and Machado, the guys in the stands, like the taunting, everything. It was a great theater, but you wasted it in the first round because, that's just the way the seeding is right now. So,
yeah, let's reseed, dude. Reseed it. There's more things we have to talk. Well, I guess so. As far as Blake Snell, does it concern you that he's also, because here's the thing, there's a reason why Giants can't sign hitters. It's because it's a pitcher's park, and they have the best framer in baseball by a wide margin. So, do you feel like Blake Snell's walk rate dropping for that 1 year is him just fixing a problem, or do you think it was good framing from Bailey and you're a little worried about it? How are you feeling about that situation?
I'm not too worried. Like, maybe the framing, it's not going to be the same, but I also saw something where he didn't even use his slider too much this year. He was more, so I'm sure the Dodgers are going to tweak that as they did with many other pitchers. And maybe he's even filthier, you never know. But they're not asking him to go deep into games and all that. So I think we'll be okay. I think he'll do, what he's done throughout the years, if he just does that, we're fine. You know what I mean? Like, if he just does his normal that he's done throughout the years, which is struggle to begin with and then just take off, golden. So, we'll see.
Okay, well, that's nothing. I think the last thing that the Blake Snell news kind of what it kind of means for the Dodgers is, do you think that this is bye-bye for Walker Buehler? Do you think this is bye-bye for Teoscar Hernandez? Like Trident, are they going to like address the bullpen, or do you think they got better starting now to where they're not going to need to? Where are you at with that?
I mean, this is how spoiled Dodgers fans are, but I don't
Thank
think
you.
it impacts.
Another clip.
If we're still in the running for Soto, which is ridiculous
Yes.
that we're even in it. It just sounds ridiculous after you spend on this Blake Snell, but we are. So if they're still on Soto, then they're definitely on Teoscar. I think he comes back. If they, I don't think they land Soto. I think they're just in there to drive the price up, or maybe just to see, hey, let's see what happens. But
Right.
I don't think they're really. I don't think that's their guy. But who knows? Maybe it is, and I'm completely wrong. As far as Bueller, I don't know. I don't know how much stock teams are going to put on the playoffs and just the playoffs, because I know it's a second Tommy John, and maybe he did find something. And if they did, and if somebody believes it and they give him a huge contract, then I think he is gone. I think maybe it is the last time we see Bueller, but I don't know, man. It's going to take a huge offer for him to leave LA, I would think. Not a
I
huge offer,
think
but like a pretty big deal.
I just feel like there's not enough room. I think that Walker Bueller, if he wants a 1 year prove it deal, he's gonna want to be able to be there every fifth day to prove it. And it's really gonna stack up. Also, does that mean you're out in Sasaki, or is Sasaki the guy and you say bye to Bueller for sure?
Well, man, listen, last year we had like 10 pitchers, right? When we're like, well, where are we going to find the spot to pitch all these dudes? And we ended up with two pitchers, one that we had to trade for and one that was coming back from two Tommy Johns to rely on to get us through the whole thing. So you can never have enough pitching. You never know what happens. Like,
Well, but there's only certain spots on the roster, right? And I think that's what the trade deadline is for. When injuries happen, you try to address those problems. But you, I get what you're saying, and I agree 100%. But you can also ask Bueller to be in a 6-man rotation, and prove you're the guy for a 1 year prove it deal, or we're going to give you a long term deal.
exactly. You can if you give him more than 1 year.
I don't know. I don't think he wants 2 years. I think you're either going to have to give him like a 4 or 5 year deal, or he's going to want a 1 year prove it deal to be like, hey, I want people to see who I really am. And then try to get that Blake Snell deal, because he's only 30 and Blake Snell's 31. So if Walker Bueller comes out and is that guy next year, I feel like someone's going to give him a 5 year deal after that.
Yeah.
Even if it's not 180, if it's like 140 or 100, like I think he can get that 5 year deal after that if he shows out next year.
Ohtani's not going to be ready for the start of the year. Kershaw definitely won't be ready for the start of the year, or we don't know how long he'll be out. So there is spots to be available. And they're going with the 6-man. They've already established that they're going with the 6-man rotation. So there's definitely a spot for the guy if they bring him back. But
if they're for sure going with the 6-man and they only got like 2.5 pitchers, what am I missing here? Who they got?
Well, you still got Miller. You still got May coming back. I don't know if May's going to come back as a starter. But you have Gonsolin also coming back. I mean, I just think May can't stay healthy. And so he has to prove that he can stay healthy, and he just hasn't been able to. And maybe going into the bullpen, maybe proving that you can pitch every other day, maybe that's a way to stay on the club and stay healthy. But, I mean, the guy just can't stay healthy. So I don't know if it's a lock for the rotation at this point.
What you got? You got Blake Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto. And if the season started today, I'm guessing it would be Gonsolin and Miller, and just kind of like
Gonsolin, Miller, and I'm assuming maybe they want to throw May, maybe, but I don't know. It depends on his spring training, I would think.
All right, well,
so I mean, you look at that rotation. You're telling me you can't plug in Bueller in there?
Yes. You cannot plug in Bueller in there just because you can't have everybody. Like at some point, enough is freaking enough. I think now the Dodgers are in the last of the luxury tax threshold. So whoever they pay, it's double. So like if they do sign Bueller for $15 million, they're really paying him $30 million. Well, not him, but they're gonna have to pay 15 to the luxury tax and 15 to Bueller. So,
But the
I
crazy
mean,
thing is that apparently they were shocked at how much money they made off Otani. Like it blew their projections. Yeah, like they didn't they thought they were gonna make X amount and they're like, oh, well, that's a lovely surprise.
I don't doubt it because I mean the numbers that came out for how much Otani made the Angels was insane. It was 70 million a year just on advertising, and that was with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. You turn that to a store like one of the top franchises in baseball. I mean, of course the advertisements would go up. If you would have went to Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants, um, who else? Who else? Maybe Mets. Um, maybe Phillies. I think
Maybe.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
teams um, that would have really shot up his value. And I think, especially at this moment, Dodgers are one of one, maybe the Yankees as well at this moment. So, yeah,
Which
I can't imagine. Maybe that's why they're like, dude, fuck it. Do you know how much money we're making off Ohtani? Yeah, I don't care. How much is it? 100% tax? You know what? Bump it up to 200 just for fun. Let's go sign 3 more other dudes.
and that's why it still baffles me to this day, like just from a business standpoint, why Artie Moreno would not freaking match the offer.
I
Like
think
you make
Artie Moreno knew. I
you
think
make
I think
but you
he
make so much
knew.
money off of him.
I know, but I think he knew that he was a Dodger. I think it was the worst kept secret in baseball that Ohtani was going to be a Dodger. It was the whole thing for what 3 or 4 years before he was a free agent. Like, oh, the Dodgers are going to trade for him because they're going to sign him and they're going to sign him. They're going to sign him. They're saving all this money for Ohtani. And it's like, maybe if you're Artie Moreno, you knew he was going. Was like, dude, you want me to tell you yes to what? Bring to the Dodgers to just take their offer anyways. Just go to the Dodgers if you want to go to the Dodgers. It's cool. We don't need to do this whole thing. And he was like, okay.
You're giving Artie Moreno way too much credit, man. Way too much. This is a guy who
Just,
spent on 50-year-old Albert Pujols and gave him like a 20-year deal. He's got Anthony Rendon who doesn't even want to play baseball. And the one guy that brings you money, you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna try. Get out of
well,
here.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I
I don't get it.
I think it is crazy. I think you pull all the stops for Ohtani. I think every team did. I think every team was trying to court him, and Ohtani. The story was that Ohtani brought contracts to everyone, like saying, "This is what it would take to get me," and that every team that was interested was like, "Sounds good," and they had to court him. But everyone knew that he was probably going to the Dodgers, and
See,
he went
well,
to the Dodgers.
this is what I mean too. Like, if that story is true, that he went with everybody and he was going to give that deferred treatment to everybody, then everybody shut up because your team could have done it if you would have chosen you. So
Not only would your team not only team like yes to that, but they would like not that they could have. They every team would have done it for sure.
exactly,
So
they're
yeah,
like,
I
hell yeah, you were bringing this up, yes, yes. I don't have to bring up my offer because that's way better than what I was thinking.
right. Like yeah, of course. Like I think 700 million is unheard of, but he's like, hey, I understand you don't want that against the election. I'm gonna do all this crazy stuff to where we could still spend. So I want to be on a playoff team. You know, no team is gonna say no to that, and no fan base is gonna be like, man, this feels unfair to the rest of the league. Let's just not do this. Let's all get together and just trade him somewhere. Like, no, fuck off. You're gonna want to get the best players ever. But then again, it's gonna be that much sweeter when Bryce Eldridge hits a walk-off home run against Blake Snell in the NLDS next year. So I'm
I
just
mean,
gonna keep saying scenarios, and then hopefully one of them is true. If I just the more I shoot out, the more chances I got to be right. So
well, I mean, you keep having the scenarios where the Giants win.
yeah,
You gotta venture off and try different scenarios because that's just not gonna happen if you stay in that lane.
nope, not gonna happen. So are we done talking about this bum? This bum who has no freaking a desire to actually compete, just Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. That's or are we done talking about this guy?
It's not even. I don't know why they keep saying Kevin Durant.
That part is true. I mean, let's just be
When
honest. That part
did,
is true.
did he go from like a really good? Did he go from the Yankees who lost the World Series to the Dodgers? Is that what happened? Because the team that he left didn't even make the playoffs.
I mean, don't
So
kill
let's cut
myself.
that
Much,
Kevin
all right?
Durant.
Don't kick
because
me when I'm down.
the Giants didn't even make the playoffs. They weren't even in contention. If he was on the Yankees and he left for the Dodgers, you can give me all the Durant memes you want. But he left from a team that wasn't that good. You could, I'm sorry.
We're not that bad. All right, we're the middest of the mid. Okay, we're not the baddest team. We're just mid.
It could have been any other team that didn't make the playoffs. Unfortunately,
Whatever.
It was yours.
He's joining a super team. Same thing. The same difference.
Besides, you know what's funny though, but besides you, because you have to hate the Dodgers because you're a Giants fan.
100%.
But everybody else, like, how you can't hate Mookie. I mean, now he's turning heel. He's turning heel during this run, which is glorious to see. But Freddie is the nicest guy out there. Shohei, like, really, the whole betting thing is what you want to hang your hat on because you have nothing else to hate him for. Like, these are not guys that are like, like the Joe Kellys, the who else to say, the Chris Taylor, everybody else. Those are the guys talking. Okay, you can hate them because they're just yapping, sure. But Mookie, but Freddie, Ohtani, they don't really say anything. They're nice guys. So
Shohei, degenerate gambler. Freddie Freeman, fake teeth. Mookie Betts.
So then you must really hate Machado.
What do you mean?
Big teeth.
Well, Machado's really good at infield defense. I love that stuff. So I can't.
That's another thing that I was laughing at too, because when Manny left the Dodgers and the Dodgers are like, we're gonna boo this guy forever, F this guy, whatever. Everybody's like, well, he was so good for you for that 1.5 season he was with you. Why do you blah blah blah? Now Snell leaves and goes to the Dodgers, and the Padres, who was their fan favorite, like, oh fuck you. Giants are like, hey, F you, like, why? 100%. Like, he didn't. You guys didn't even offer him anything. I don't.
Well, first of all, there's no reports that they didn't offer him anything. I'm sure.
I'm going to say they didn't,
but they might not have. You're right. They didn't even offer Kevin Gosman. This is a new regime, though. This is not Farhan, so we don't know. So, but here's the thing: if it's the other team, I don't care if the reason that we're booing him for wearing gray socks instead of white socks. He's on another team.
All I'm saying is make up
if there's not a reason to boo him, I will make one up. There's no like this whole thing of, wow, are we really gonna boo this guy? He's a great guy. I don't care if he's a great guy. Fake teeth, boo. All right, I don't care. He's a Dodger. I'm going to boo him. If any team is playing the Giants, I'm going to boo them. I don't care if it's Mother Teresa out there. All right.
I am 100% with you. I'm just saying, it's funny that they hated on the Dodger fans for booing Machado, but now they're doing the exact same thing with Snell, and he was their favorite. So that's just how it works, people.
Yeah,
like exactly. When Justin Turner came back and he was hitting against us, I'm gonna boo him because he's trying to beat my team.
But that's
I know what you're saying, but it's just the one Walker Buehler. If he goes to the Giants, I will say it will be very hard for me to boo him. Even if he freaking tells us to freaking fuck off and whatever it is that,
Texas Ranger, come on home.
Yeah. I will rather not watch that game than have to boo him because I love Walker Buehler and I don't want to have to boo him.
Right.
Don't go to the Giants.
Yeah. I will use any mental gymnastics I got to use to rationalize my booing. I will boo the other team 100%, except if it's a guy that's a fan favorite or was like a big part of like a World Series run, like Hunter Pence when he came to I was at it was spring training, so it really doesn't count, but when he was with the Rangers for that year after he played with the Giants, spring training game, I'm gonna stand up and clap. That's Hunter freaking Pence. Like, I'm not. I love him regardless. There's certain guys. Well,
I get that, but in the heat of the moment, like we all love Justin Turner, but in the game, during the game,
Justin Turner,
I
boo.
don't want him to succeed.
Right.
At all, and I will boo it if he does something good.
But at the same
afterwards,
time,
I can
you're
acknowledge
gonna
that we all
make the
respect
playoffs. You know you're gonna make the playoffs. Why not just give the guy his like the one thing I will talk shit about 100%. If you boo your own team, I think that is super corny. I think that's so corny and that's dumb. I think borderline booing like a dude that comes by that like I don't know. I can't boo.
I think that's where we disagree because I think some even players are like, hey, well, they paid their money, man. Let them voice their their opinion if they don't agree
I'm
with
not
it.
saying it's not loud. I just think you're corny.
Yes.
Like Dodger fans booing Kenley Jansen a couple years ago, corny.
I guess. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I guess if you're not gonna be disrespectful, if you're not gonna throw shit on the field,
right.
One way to voice your displeasure is booing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You're not being disrespectful, like saying stupid things, sending DMs, like, "Hey, go do," none of that. Just boo and then go home.
Corny. Couple of things.
But speaking of guys that are old and gone,
corny,
and we're playing really well for teams and win championships, but then their own team said, "We don't want you. Go finish your career with somebody else." Brandon Crawford, huh? Retired.
Wow. That's cold-blooded. I thought you were going to bring up the Cody Bellinger thing. That's on the notes. That's crazy. That's where I thought you were going with this.
Boom, boom, boom.
I'll never forgive you. That was good. I can't even, you fucked me up almost. But yes, Brandon Crawford retiring. Dude, it sucked seeing him in 2023 just being so bad. 2022 being so bad. 2021 was amazing. The years before that, so amazing. Reinvented himself in 2021. Top finalist for MVP in 2021. The World Series championships, the big Grand Slam in Pittsburgh on the wild card game in 2014. I mean, list goes on and on. I mean, it's really, they're going to do like his they're going to do like a day for him at Oracle. He's finally retiring. I was really bummed they didn't do the that he wasn't able to stay on the Cardinals roster for the last game of the season. But I think we've done a couple of a little odes to Brandon Crawford. So we don't have to go too into it, but it's good to see him being able to retire in, I guess not an honor, because it's not like they're kind of ripping the jersey off his back. I don't think he would have really gotten a major league contract anywhere this year. But close enough. One hiccup year. It is what it is. But best shortstop in Giants history. Got some hardware. Multiple World Series champion.
Congrats to him in his retirement. Hopefully he has more time with his family, and he had a great career. One of the guys you didn't want to face. Every time you hit it, there was like a black hole. He was just gonna get the baseball and throw you out. Great defensive player. And I remember 2021 when all of a sudden he like learned to hit again, and he was just hitting bombs and everything. So
the cheating lab was open was the thing.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't have to face him anymore. And I
always remind
is he a Giants legend?
He's a Giants legend for sure.
Okay,
100%. I think when you are the best player at a position, that makes you Giants legend. He played, was it 13 years with the team? If he was 14 years in Major League. So, 13 years with the team, won 2 World Series, and was a big part of both those World Series runs. Legend. I don't think he's statue legend just because, you're going to have a statue for somebody. It's going to be Posey. And if it's not Posey, it's probably either Bumgarner, Lincecum, and Kane. But right after that,
he's probably
like the Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford are probably like same level there.
Yeah, definitely. So congrats to him, man.
Yeah.
And speaking of guys nobody wants, right?
Right?
Cody freaking Bellinger, dude. The Cubs are begging everybody, would you please take this guy? And nobody wants to.
And the funny thing is we were talking a little before this. And I was thinking that his contract was just so bad. I was like, oh, this might be like a bad contract situation. And they're really just trying to get out of like the last, 4 or 5 years or something. Dude, he's only there for 2 more years, and he's 29 and 30. Like, and he's not like making 35, he's making 27 this year and 25 next year on a team that sells out all the time, the Chicago Cubs. That is telling. I don't know what to make of that. Honestly, I'm shocked that nobody wants him because, like, I don't know. I think you would take a flyer on it, especially because I'm sure the Cubs are probably going to take some salary, and it's not going to cost you a lot to get him. This is like prime years, 29 and 30. Like, he's a good center fielder. He's a good first baseman. I mean, honestly,
What's his contract look like? It's a 25 or is it 27?
27 this year and 25 next year.
So, I mean, his numbers were he had 18 home runs, 78 ribbies, 136 hits. He was batting 266.
What's his OPS?
I don't have that in front of me. Let me check it. I didn't have it in
Let
front of me to look it up.
me check it.
His OPS 751.
Yeah, like 27's a lot for a player like that. I get it. But if like you're taking a flyer on a guy, and let's say the Cubs are willing to eat like 7 million, and you're able to just take 20 and 25, I don't know, man. I just feel like you could put that in the corner, and maybe you don't have him in center field, you have him in right field or left field, and he does bring some pop. And I mean, he could fuck around and hit 25 home runs. I mean, it's also possible that he gets worse and hits 15 home runs, but at the same time, I don't know.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, this guy has been a very streaky player in his career, and he has stretches where he looks like the MVP and he's just going to run away with it. But other times it just looks like he's lost up there.
Yeah,
and you're paying 25,
100%.
but you're paying 25, and then if he has a bad year, you're stuck with him because he's probably going to opt in for that 27.
But just no. He's this year is 27. Next year is 25.
Okay, well, he opted in for 25, and you're paying 25 for that? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like you can get the Cubs to take 7 and 5, and you're paying him $20 million a year, for plus defense and possibly a very good bat. I think most likely it's going to be a solid bat, an everyday player, and maybe it's a little bit of an overpay, but I mean, I don't know. It's just, I feel like Mike Yastrzemski had a very similar year to him. His OPS was 740, 18 home runs, and he hit 230. Obviously, Mike Yastrzemski.
And how much was he making?
He's going to make 10 million this year.
So you basically have Cody Bellinger light, and you want to upgrade for a couple.
No,
more
but what
home
I'm
runs.
saying is like, let's be honest. I mean, Mike Yastrzemski's 34 years old. I just don't understand how no team is going to take a flyer on him if the Cubs are willing to take some money, because if they take some money, they're going to want a low level prospect and probably someone that you want to dump off your 40-man roster for him. Like, there's almost like no downside except for paying that money, but it's like, I don't know, the upside is crazy.
And this is exactly, comes back to when we first started, that teams don't want to spend. So if you don't want to spend a bunch of money, you can maybe get them to pay half of his salary or whatever it is, and you give up a lower end prospect, and there you go. There's your pickup for the, Pirates, go get this guy, or Brewers, There it is, go get this guy. You pair him up with Yelich. But a lot of teams are like, no, I don't want to do it. Like,
that's crazy.
This is the kind of stuff I don't get it. I don't get it either. Like,
I feel like the Giants could probably trade Mike Yastrzemski and a lower level prospect for Cody Bellinger, and hopefully they still take a little bit of money. They'll be taking like 10 million off the books, and and if they take 7, then technically Cody Bellinger is really only going to cost them technically like 10 million, and then they just have 1 year. And they shouldn't. I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying I want Cody Bellinger. I'm just shocked that there's no team being like, you'll take some money? Yeah, I'll take Cody Bellinger for 2 years, and he's 29 years old. I'll take a flyer on him. That's kind of wild to me.
I think what's wild too is the fact that like people are mad at the Dodgers. Okay, fine. But then you have teams like the Cubs, like you just said, they make money. And they've already come out and said, we're not going to be in on any big free agents. We're not in on Soto. Like, why aren't fans mad at that? Like, these guys are like, yeah, we're not spending. So don't ask us anymore. We're done. That's okay. Important. We're done. Right. Like, you don't have to talk to us for the rest of the offseason because you already know we're not doing anything. Right. In fact, we just want to sell off more parts. Like, why aren't we up in arms about this kind of stuff? Like, why? This guy, like you said, he's making 25, but he could go off. He could give you a really good season too. Why do you want to get rid of him?
Especially the crazy thing is his age, because the thing is, if he was like 34, it's like, yeah, he's probably not going to have a resurgent season, but he's 29. He's going to be 29 this year. That is literally his prime. Like, he can very well, maybe not find like MVP form, but I don't think that it's crazy to think that he can get all-star form back. I don't think, and then let's say it's bad. You only have 1 year left on him. And if the Cubs are willing to take some money, maybe they don't take half, but if they take him 5-10 million off it, fuck, I feel like that's a no-brainer for, I mean, like I said, like we were talking about, the Giants outfield set, I wouldn't pick him over the guys that we have, especially because Mike Yastrzemski's a clubhouse guy. You don't want to mess with that dynamic for maybe a little bit, of an increase. But I think there's a lot of teams that should go after him.
Yeah, because if to play both sides of it, he'll give you a really good first baseman, almost Gold Glove defense there, and he can do the same. And well, I don't know if he's probably lost a step or two in center field, but he's a solid defender.
Maybe
so you're not
29. I don't think he's probably very many steps in center field.
And if you put him in the corners, he's even better. So, I mean, you're going to get good defense at least. So I don't know. He'd be a good flyer for some teams, but I also understand why they're wary because he is a very streaky player.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because it's not like this is the Javier Baez situation. It's not like like another 5 years and he's going to be like 35.
He did look like him for a while.
He what?
He did look like him for a while when he was a Dodger. Like he looked rough, but yeah, he seemed to have found something and then lost it and then found it again. So we'll see. We'll see how. But maybe the Yankees, if they miss out, like put him at first. Could be an upgrade over Rizzo. Rizzo's older. I mean, they already let go of him. But
you know what's crazy is we're talking about how Adames is going to be such an upgrade at shortstop. But man, it seems like Dansby Swanson's numbers are pretty close to Willy Adames. So hey, if you're selling off pieces, maybe we can just get Dansby Swanson from you, and that'll be our upgrade at shortstop. So who knows?
I think that's not what you're paying for Adames, dude. I think if you get Adames, you get a completely culture change in that clubhouse. So if you went for that, you got to go for Adames.
I don't know. Oh, I do want Adames. I'm not talking myself out of Adames, but I'm just saying if Adames signs elsewhere and you don't want to bring Correa back home, then Dansby Swanson.
Giants legend, dude. Giants legend.
Everyone says the best shortstops in Giants history is
for me,
Brandon Crawford, Carlos Correa, right there.
For me, Correa, the impact he had in such short time up here. Then you got then after him you got Omar Vizquel.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let me.
Then after him you got Miguel Tejada.
Okay.
And then a couple notches down, Brandon Crawford.
Yeah. Maybe Edgar Renteria, bring him up. World Series, let's go. You know what? Yes, it was. We thought we were going to take a break from each other, but Dave, it's good to see your face. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Had to come and talk about Blake Snell being a bum and signing with a super team.
We had to see Jesse's face. He's covering up pretty well, guys. We spent 30 minutes before the show making sure he stopped crying.
Freaking A, I'm not crying.
But he's good now. And I'm glad we got through the episode. I'm glad we got to spend some time together. Before we go, I am thankful to be part of this podcast. I am thankful you guys listen to us. And I hope you guys have a good time with your family, dinner, whatever. Save us a plate.
Yes.
Maybe we'll stop by.
Freaking A, you're freaking whack and don't diss me. Yeah, ever since you joined this podcast, like I feel like the Dodgers have not taken one freaking L this entire time. It's just been such an upward trajectory. So,
And my predictions are just on point. So
maybe
I'm
maybe we
most
should
of my
just change the
predictions for
name.
later.
Maybe just change the name by like instead of benches clear, and then maybe that'll switch the tides. Who knows? But until then, we'll be here next week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform as well as YouTube. Yeah, have a great time with your family. Hopefully you're just listening to this on your way to your family or maybe your way home and whatever. Just thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Dave, what do you got?
And listen, guys, enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy the food you guys make. Enjoy it. Because in another week, the Dodgers are probably going to sign another guy, and you're going to be sick to your stomach. So enjoy tomorrow. Because
they signed Willie Adames, and I'm fucking
because
over
what's
it.
coming next is probably going to make
watching
your stomach
soccer
hurt
now.
again.
We're going to start watching soccer. Yeah.
If the Dodgers sign if it gets crazy and they sign Juan Soto, we are stopping immediately what we're doing and we're coming on.
Oh, fuck, we're not. You're not gonna find me. I'm gonna be running out in the desert, just running until I drop. We'll see. But yes.
All right.
We'll be here
thank
though.
you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, thank you so much. And Juan Soto will not be a Giant. He won't be a Dodger, but who knows? Maybe Willie Adames will. Maybe Corbin Burns. We'll see you then.